The call, Kevin Haig.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, a dictionary definition of the word conscience is the inner sense of what is right or wrong in one's conduct or motives, impelling one toward the right action to follow. There is no question that this issue of animal welfare is a question of conscience. And I accept what my colleague Sue Kedgley says, that actually she believes that every member of this House, in their own conscience, in their own mind, knows that the right thing to do is to vote for this bill and end these barbaric practices. Unfortunately, Mr Speaker, that imperative tonight conflicts with a principle that the government has used in its own political management of this parliament, and that is when a private member's bill, when a member's bill comes from an opposition member, the government has decided for political reasons not to give oxygen to the opposition and to routinely vote those members' bills down. What I say to the government is this. What I say to whoever is in charge of the government's votes tonight and whoever has the opportunity to change the direction it has given to its members, please consider what all of those New Zealanders who have seen those mounting documentaries on television about barbaric practices in chicken farming, about the sow crate practices, and who have been appalled by those practices overseas and in this country. Consider the view of those New Zealanders when they learn that the government tonight had the opportunity to act on that issue and chose not to, and chose instead to act in its own political interest. Mr Speaker, I also await with interest what possible reason the ACT Party will have for voting against this bill tonight. Mr Speaker, I in some ways am sorry for Shane Ardern and for Colin King, who were given the responsibility to have to speak against this bill tonight. We are, I have to say, still completely mystified as to whether or not the government does hold any rational objections to this bill. Mr Ardern spoke at the beginning of his speech about there being no economic point of view that would justify animal cruelty. Well, in actual fact, sir, animal cruelty occurs precisely because of the economic interest in some farmers in short-term economic gain, because practices like battery farming of hens and sow crates in pig farming enable farmers to carry more stock in a small area. It is entirely about short-term economic interest. That is the justification for the animal cruelty used. Mr Ardern breathtakingly argued in favour of sow crates and ignores, sir, the reality that many farmers who actually practice free-range pig farming and free-range hen farming have found completely acceptable and viable ways of doing that and making a profit. There is no sensible reason advanced by Shane Ardern. And he talks also about advice that the government has had about inadvertent consequences of the bill. And of course there's no detail provided, no explanation of that. And that, sir, is precisely the kind of thing that a select committee inquiry could sort out. Colin King talked about the definition of freedom of movement, bringing up some minor quibbles about that definition. That again, sir, is something that the select committee could deal with. We had the pathetic argument about Labradors in houses, and we also had Colin King's talking about restriction of the mobility of ewes for several days, something which is a complete red herring. It's totally outside the scope of this bill, has nothing to do with Section 73. Sir, I have been exposed to the sow crate experience, and it is a totally cruel experience. I take on board the Prime Minister's comment that he is very, very distressed by this practice, and the government may consider doing something about this. Tonight, sir, the government has the opportunity to do something about these barbaric practices. They will be judged by their refusal to do so.
Call Rahui Kar.